What's going on, off the record fans? It is Friday. I hope you are ready for the weekend. God knows I am. I hope you had a great week. We have some news for you today. So let's get into it. So, if you are a 90s music fan, Oasis reunites after 15 years. The Gallaghers call a truce, and Britpop rises again. So, in a moment that fans long thought was super impossible, Noel and Liam Gallagher have announced an official reunion of Oasis, one of the most iconic and volatile bands in British music history. The live 25 tour. They really thought through that one, huh? It'll kick off July 4th, 2005 in Cardiff, and already has stops lined up across Europe, North America, and South America, with a final show slated for November 23rd in Brazil. So, but this isn't just another band getting back together. This is Oasis, a band whose internal battles have just been legendary as their anthem songs. I don't know how much you know about Oasis, but when I was in high school and then college and beyond college, I would always laugh at the news headlines I would come across about them fighting on stage. So, from Britpop royalty to tabloid fodder, they formed in Manchester, in the United Kingdom, 1991. Oasis rocketed to fame with their debut album, Definitely Maybe, which is, I believe, also a Ryan Reynolds movie, followed by a cultural landmark, What's the Story, and Morning Glory, which brought the world Wonderwall, the song Wonderwall. Also, Don't Look Back in Anger, which I like better than Wonderwall, and Champagne Supernova. So, at the heart of the band's explosive success were our two brothers, Liam, the swaggering frontman with a sneer and a snarl, and Noel, the sharp-tongued songwriting genius behind the curtain of the band. So, from the beginning, Oasis wasn't just about the music, it was also about the chaos of these brothers. Their infamous 1996 MTV Unplugged performance, you saw Liam heckling the band from the balcony while drinking and smoking. After he had refused to perform due to a sore throat, Noel took the lead vocals, and tensions only escalated from there. Now, I believe the tensions escalated because Noel's a really good singer. In fact, I kind of preferred his voice, especially when you don't have the fighting from the other brother. So one of the most notorious moments came during the 1994 U.S. tour when Liam got wasted before the show. Excuse me. In Los Angeles, and he changed the lyrics of their song to mock Noel on stage, and then smacked him with a tambourine. Whew. Noel walked out and didn't return for several days. I remember hearing about this. But early 2000s, the band was limping along, dogged by arguments, canceled shows, and a revolving door of supporting musicians. Look, I've seen this with big touring bands. When you have someone toxic on that stage, musicians don't care how much they're paid. They quit. It's hard to keep musicians. Rightfully so. So the final straw came in 2009 backstage in Paris when an altercation between the Gallaghers, reportedly led by Liam, smashing one of Noel's guitars. That was it. Noel quit on the spot, later stating, quote, I simply could not go on working with Liam a day longer, unquote. Oasis was over. Now, let's fast forward 15 years later. How did we get here? So what changed? Sources close to the brothers say that thawing began in 2023 after Noel's high-profile divorce from Sarah McDonald. Without the usual buffers, the brothers reportedly began speaking again. Quietly at first, though. Then came secret meetings, phone calls, and eventually they shared a jam session. I want to know what other musicians jammed with them. That's gotta be a spicy career move. Be like, yeah, I gotta go. I got a gig this weekend. I can't really talk about it. Oh, don't say anything. But it's the Oasis brothers. They're not punching each other on stage anymore. They want to jam. These guys crack me up. So according to Liam, it was quote, just about time, wasn't it? We're not getting any younger. The songs deserve a stage again, and so do the fans, unquote. I think also they know how much the bands from the 90s are making touring now. And we're in a very rare situation. For you younger people, when I was growing up in the 90s, metalheads listened to metal. Rock guys listened to rock. Pop people listen to pop music. There are very few people that really listen to all types of different styles of music. Now, kids are into their parents' music, 90s, early 2000s music. They're into pop. They're into hip-hop. They're into everything. We're in a very, it's kind of a cool time to be a musician. You kind of put out whatever you want. So, after he said the fans deserve to see us on stage again, Noel's been more guarded, but confirmed the reunion saying, the old man can still sing, and I've still got the tunes. Let's see if the world is still listening. Unquote. These guys, they crack me up. They're like, imagine going to a pub and finding two alcoholics that all the staff know far too well, and they're fighting in the corner. And the staff is just like, yeah, that's a Thursday night. Don't bother them. That's what these guys are like. They're just, they are tabloid headlines. I think that's what I've always liked about Oasis. So, live 25 tour and what to expect. So, the reunion tour will feature not just Noel and Liam, but original bandmates Jem Archer, Andy Bell, and Paul Bonehead Arthurs. That's a great nickname, Bonehead. Making this as close to the classic Oasis lineup as fans could hope for. That's cool for Oasis fans. You get to see the original lineup. So the set list will reportedly span their entire catalog with a heavy emphasis on Definitely Maybe and Morning Glory. Morning Glory, that's a great album name. Plus a few rarities and fan favorites. So comment down below if you're watching. What's your favorite Oasis song? I would probably have to go with, I really like Don't Look Back in Anger. I definitely like Champagne Supernova. I've never been a big Wonderwall fan. I love playing it to mess with people. But adding fuel to the fire, Oasis has inked a massive sponsor deal with Adidas, complete with commercial campaign using their 1994 track "Live Forever," a cheeky nod to the band's resilience. An upcoming documentary directed by Stephen Knight of Peaky Blinders, the show, is also in production, set to trace the band's rise, fall, and rebirth. Interesting. Let's hope. Look, I hope they pull it off. I think they're great musicians. They have a spicy past. I mean, let's see what they do. We'll keep following this report as we go. So, what's the catch? Ticket prices and fan outrage. So, if there's one cloud hanging over the reunion, it's the ticket prices. Fans have taken a social media, with rage over Ticketmaster's dynamic pricing model. This is not the first time I've heard a complaint about this. with some reports claiming nosebleed seats are already going for £150. It's around $150, $160, while front row spots exceed £1,000. Calls for a fan-friendly pricing system have gone even louder, with Liam even tweeting on X, which used to be Twitter, this frustration about the ticketing structure is classic. He commented in a very classic, unfiltered Liam fashion, basically. So this matter, the return of Oasis, isn't just about nostalgia. It's about one of the biggest what-ifs in rock history finally getting answered. The band that helped define a generation of Britpop, who imploded in real time in front of the public on stage, is now making a comeback at a time when guitar-driven rock music is hungry for another shot. They're hungry for another shot in the spotlight. This is a really interesting story. I'm super interested to see how this goes for Oasis. Are they going to fight on stage again? Are they going to end everything on the first couple shows? You don't know with this band. That, it has been 15 years, but I hope they made up. I hope they do well, but you never know. So if you do go to one of the shows, you could see. Who knows what you're going to see? Whether this reunion leads to new music, it's still unclear. Noel has hinted that he's open to it if everything goes well, in quotes, while Liam seems more than ready, stating, "I've got riffs, I've got fire, let's get in the studio," unquote. I like hearing that from a musician. He could always go and record without Noel. Now, for fans, fans are just grateful that the long-running feud has given way to a long-awaited union. Whether this one lasts one tour or leads to a full-on second act for Oasis, one thing is absolutely certain: we are all living forever, at least for one more summer. Man, Oasis back together. Does that excite you guys? What's going on, Jess? Let's see. It's true. Oasis fans lost about £2.7 million altogether on Oasis ticket scams. So that's a great thing to bring up. So I know Under Oath, I don't know if you listen to them, a little different from Oasis, more in the hardcore genre. I know they actually had this problem recently with a show where scammers bought, I want to say it was like 100 of their tickets for a venue and raised the price right away. I don't remember how many tickets they bought, but I know that Under Oath did something to counteract that. I don't know how Ticketmaster is combating scamming or anything. Maybe that's a news report I'll have to do. Thanks for bringing that up, man. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'll give you a shout out on that when I do that. But Oasis is really, really well known for being good live. I might try to catch a show. So next band we're going to talk about, Muse, the galactic architects of modern rock. I wanted to stay a little bit in the British vein today, since we talked about Oasis. Another band that I really like. I really love Muse. I don't know if you listen to Muse. Amazing guitar work, amazing, just everything about them is just amazing musicianship, amazing writing. So with their cinematic, as you can see from the video in the background, with their cinematic soundscapes and politically charged lyrics and mind-bending live shows, Muse has carved a permanent spot in the modern rock canon. But their story goes way beyond big choruses and laser lights. It's a tale of experimentation, reinvention, and resilience. And we're telling it all right here on the show. Make sure you subscribe, guys. I've got some big interviews coming up for you guys to check out. So let's start with the humbling beginnings of the band. Muse starts their journey in a small coastal town of Tynemouth, England, In the early 1990s, three schoolmates, Matt, Chris, and Dominic, they were just messing around in different local bands. Eventually, they came together under the name Rocket Baby Dolls. Yes, really, Rocket Baby Dolls. I feel like that's a usable band name. Before settling on the name Muse in 1994. I don't know. I kind of like Rocket Baby Dolls a little bit more than Muse. I feel like that'd be a indie funk rock band now that you'd see on Audio Tree or Tiny Desk Concert. So it was clear early on that Muse wasn't interested in fitting the mold of music. While Britpop was dominating the UK charts, Muse took a different path, darker, more dramatic, and a whole lot more theatrical. Their first album, Showbiz, released in 1999. It was a modest success, but it was it had haunting falsettos and the band's intense energy that really caught the industry's attention. So the rise of Origins of Symmetry and Absolution, these were two albums that I absolutely snagged in the early 2000s. They blew me away. Everything changed in 2001 with the release of Origins of Symmetry. That record blended classical piano, crushing guitar riffs, and distorted bass in a way that no one else was doing. Tracks like Plug In Baby and Newborn showed off their technical chops, and their live shows became explosive, sometimes literally. In 2003, Absolution launched Muse into the big leagues. It was their first UK number one album, and it brought us hits like Time Is Running Out, great song, and Hysteria, another great song. The band's themes were getting bolder, exploring war, religion, and paranoia. Not your typical mainstream fare for a musician. And they made it work. Fans ate it up. Now let's get into the global takeover of Black Holes and Resistance. In 2006, Black Holes and Revelations marked a massive turning point. This was Muse stepping into the global spotlight with songs like Supermassive Black Hole and Nights of Kidona. Not sure if I pronounced that correctly. They embraced electronic elements and futuristic storytelling. It was weird. It was dramatic, but it worked. That album went multi-platinum and brought them to U.S. mainstream. Yeah, that is actually probably the year I started hearing friends that weren't exploratory with their music selections were telling me, "Yo, have you heard this band Muse?" I was like, "Brother, let me tell you a little about the early 2000s with the albums they put out." Definitely a great band to check out. Then came Resistance in 2009, an album drenched in political commentary and Queen-style operatic arrangements. The band took aim at authoritarianism and government surveillance years before it became a mainstream concept. Tracks like Uprising and Resistance felt like rallying cries in a changing world. See, if you're an American, you might not know what's going on in England, and I'm not going to say I'm an expert, but it does seem like there's a whole lot of Big Brother things going on. A lot of people are getting arrested for making any statements politically against, I don't even know the political sides. It's a very 1984 situation that's going on right now. So we're talking a band talking about this happening in their society almost 15 years before it did. I mean, the revolution continues. So let's get into pushing the boundaries. So by 2010, Muse had full creative freedom, and they weren't afraid to get weird with it, if they ever were. In 2012, The Second Law, the album, explored economic collapse, sustainability, and even dubstep. Deadpool might have something to say about this. It was polarizing. Some fans loved the experimentation, others weren't so sure. But again, Muse stuck to their guns. In 2015, they pivoted with the album Drones. This was more stripped down, guitar-driven concept album with about drone warfare and emotional detachment in a digital age. It won them their second Grammy for Best Rock Anthem. While it didn't have the glitz of their past few albums, it showed that Muse still had something urgent to say. So let's get into synths, nostalgia, and the simulation theory. With the 2018 Simulation Theory album, Muse went full sci-fi. This record was a synthwave fuel dive into simulation hypothesis. The idea that reality might be artificial. This is something that science is talking about a lot right now. At least all those crazy reels. Think neon lights, retro futurism, and influences straight out of 1980s video games. It was bold, colorful, and again, a huge departure from what came before for the band. And that's what Muse does, though. They shapeshift with their albums. The accompanying world tour was like stepping into a dystopian arcade. Augmented reality, visuals, robots, cyberpunk dancers. It was a part concept and part science fiction theater to see them live. So let's get into the present, the will of the people and beyond. So in 2022, Muse dropped the album Will of the People. The record they described a record that they described as the greatest hits of new material. It combined elements from across their discography like heavy guitar riffs, synth ballads, political rage. The album was created in response to the growing global instability. Think pandemic, protests, polarizations politically. It's Muse doing what Muse has always done best, reflecting the chaos of the world through theatrical, genre-blending rock. I think that's what I really do love about them. It's just an intensity to their music and energy. Now, in 2025, the band is still going strong. They're reportedly working on a new album for the 2026 releases, and if history is any guide, it won't sound like anything they've ever done before. So, what makes Muse so enduring? It's more than just sound. It's the vision of this band. It's guts. They've always dared to think bigger, weirder, louder. They don't just write songs. They build sonic universes with each album. And after more than 25 years, they're still evolving, still challenging the status quo, and still finding new ways to blow our minds. So whether you're a diehard fan or just discovering them right now, Muse isn't just a band, they're an experience. And they're far from done. Man, I'm going to have to check out their newer album. I haven't listened to them in, it's been a while. But I do love those first 4 albums they put out. They were fire. So if you are a fan of the show, if you've ever watched any of these episodes that I do it live, I like to do a local band shout out. So far, I've been hitting bands that I actually know. I'm probably not going to run out of bands that I know for at least another couple months. This band is a band whose t-shirt you've probably seen